Um, I'm Diane Forte, Government Relations Manager for the West Side Cities for Southern California Edison. We're the proud sponsor of this session, Connectivity and Technology Post-Pandemic. And with me today, we have Michelle Williams, who's the Chief Information Officer for the City of Culver City, and Ursula Moran for External Affairs, Greater Los Angeles area for AT&T. The topic overview, Culver City is home to some of the most digitally connected individuals and businesses. However, COVID-19 has highlighted the challenges of technology infrastructure and access with the need for more robust connectivity for businesses, residents, and visitors. And I'm sure, as we are one today, we have all used these platforms in our business and personal lives all throughout since March. The overall question for the session: how are the public and private sectors working to meet the challenges of the day? And what are the opportunities ahead in creating a digitally connected community that serves to elevate the Culver City experience for all? I'll start the conversation, then turn to Michelle and then to Ursula to introduce themselves, share their role in the industry, and provide an industry outlook. I'll then moderate some questions, and if the audience has any question, please post in the chat to answer with time permitting. So I just want to give you a little bit on Southern California Edison's perspective. To stay connected, we need a safe and reliable electrical grid. We are committed to investing between $4 to $5 billion each year to modernize the grid. We're aggressively upgrading the grid and hardening it against natural disasters. We have full replacement, 4 kV cutover, and every mile of covered conductor that we do is critical to make sure we have a grid of the future that can support our clean energy transition to 100% carbon-free 2045. As more people work and learn from home, we need to stay connected online is more important than ever. Sometimes power outages can happen for a number of reasons, and our partners with the city and with our utility, with our communications company is more important than ever. Whether it's a customer using a Wi-Fi, try to power their Wi-Fi router, or using their cell phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot or connect online, we need our cellular. We sometimes use our cellular data as well. Customers play an important role with smart technologies. We're going to see more and more combination of solar and energy storage to be more for grid reliability. And we just announced that we have additional utility scale battery contracts. So this will all help us up 2 gigawatts, which will all help us meet our short-term and long-term reliability goals. Now I'd like to turn over the conversation to Michelle and to Ursula to introduce yourself, your role in the industry, and a little bit about how you see this issue. Michelle?
Okay, great. Thank you, Diane. As Diane mentioned, I am Michelle Williams. Good morning, everyone. I am the Chief Information Officer with the City of Culver City. I'm responsible for technology operations at the city, and that includes, our network infrastructure, telecommunications, as well as software applications. I've been with the city for 23 years and in my current role since 2012. I also manage the deployment of Culver Connect, which is Culver City's open access municipal fiber network. And my role at the city is really overall in general to align and leverage technology with the operational objectives as well as the strategic vision of the organization. And certainly, these last 9 months with the pandemic have been very challenging in so many different ways. And certainly those of us in the tech field, I think have had kind of the added challenge, if you will, of kind of ensuring operations. That's really, sums it up. In my role, we've had to, as I said, exploit technology to ensure continued business operations and service operations. And so certainly I see that continuing to evolve as we move into the future and beyond, even the pandemic. And certainly Culver City is committed to ensuring that our residents and businesses have the infrastructure and, the technology to ensure smooth operations.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ursula?
Thank you. First off, Michelle and Diane, it is great to see both of you. Obviously, I wish it was in person, but it's 2020. So my name is Ursula Moran. I work in AT&T's External Affairs Group. So I handle government and community relations, basically for the whole West Side and then also for portions of the Valley. So definitely keeps me busy. You know, this year is kind of an understatement. COVID-19 has absolutely reinforced the need for connectivity. It's such an understatement because that's what we're doing right now, and that's what we're doing for every aspect of our lives. In terms of AT&T, right now we're carrying 20% more data on our network. Frankly, I'm surprised the number is not higher. Because everything we're doing is virtual, right? So there's so much demand on our networks right now. And our networks are helping people work from home. People are relying on both our wireless networks and also wireline fiber networks during this entire year. And it's helping people school their children, working from home, do different telecommunication, health, virtual visits with your doctor, ordering food. I mean, everything is virtual. You name it, and everything's being done on our network. So especially during the shelter in place ordinances, people are struggling to stay connected. And so residents are using smartphones, tablets, laptops, etc. And so that all drives the need for reliable and expanded connectivity. So that is why AT&T has really seen the biggest demand on our network. So, and we're working to handle this demand and stay flexible throughout the year.
That's great. Yes, it's very important. We rely on our city and also AT&T and other communications providers. Very important. Distance learning, we see that issue come up all the time. Michelle, just want to kick off a question with you. Many may or may not know about the fiber infrastructure that was laid in Culver City. And I was wondering, what is the status and how can that benefit our businesses and residents?
Yes, thank you, Diane. So I'll start with a little bit of background for those that don't know. The city a few years ago made a significant capital investment to install an open access municipal fiber network, and which we are marketing as Culver Connect. And the city's goal in developing the network was really about providing the business community with more connectivity options. We're not an ISP. We don't have any plans to be an ISP. But really, our goal was to, again, as I said, provide another option and various options, to be quite honest with you, with being open access. Having the infrastructure in place would help attract additional providers, certainly by lowering the cost of entry into the marketplace. And so in essence, what we built was 21 route miles of fiber throughout the city, primarily throughout most of the business corridors. And this really serves as our fiber backbone. And so the city has recently partnered with an ISP, Inyo Networks, to provide, again, another option for internet service and for staying connected. Inyo Networks will be using the Culver Connect infrastructure to provide service to the business community. And this is fiber to the premise with dedicated internet, starting at 100 megabits per second in terms of the speed, as well going up to a gig offering. And so we're really excited about that partnership. And additionally, with the pandemic and more of us working from home, as you say, students studying from home and learning from home, we recognize that the need to even service the residents, that urgency will certainly increase during this time. And so I also want to make everyone aware that last month, our city council approved a preliminary agreement with Ting. And Ting is another ISP, and they are looking to build out a private network using, again, the Culver Connect backbone to deliver fiber to the premise. And, this will be residential and business community service offerings. Ting, in addition to building out their private network, they're going to be providing additional community benefits that we're excited about. They'll be offering free internet to nonprofit organizations who service Culver City, as well as discounted rates for affordable housing. And the minimal serving offering here is 1 gig service as well. Ting is currently accepting pre-orders now. So for anyone who's interested, you can go to their website, which is ting.com/Culver City to get more information about that. And also, if there's interest in the INYO service offering as well, you could contact Culver Connect directly via email, culverconnect@culvercity.org. So, the city is certainly excited about being able to offer, again, just more options for helping everyone to stay connected.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle. I'll turn it over to Ursula. So we all pride ourselves on being aligned with technology and leverage it to improve our services to our clients. How has AT&T embraced this area?
Well, there's been some silver linings for this year. I think it's been a tough year, and this crisis has really changed how we live, how we work, how we go to school, how we shop online, and even how we socialize, how we stay connected with our loved ones. So, this has put a strain on our businesses and our communication networks, but, some ways that I'd say AT&T's network has helped. Retail, and we've probably all taken advantage of it. Many businesses have set up curbside service and contactless delivery. And so customers are using apps and also probably their smartphone to set up the delivery or pick up different products. So that's one area that I know has been really convenient for me. Telemedicine, as I touched on earlier, doctors and hospitals are using telehealth. I just came from the previous session where both Kaiser and Cedars-Sinai were on, and I know for a fact both of them are offering telehealth to help patients via video calls, and a bit more electronic than you would ever envision for staying in touch with your doctor. Normally it's all in person. So that's been one area that AT&T's network has really focused on. Of course, telecommuting. Many people are telecommuting. And I suspect that's going to have ripple effects for the future of work. Diane, I don't know if you're seeing that with SCE, but I'm sensing that many large corporations are reassessing who works from home, and maybe some of these changes will go beyond 2020, and hopefully when COVID is no longer on our minds, this 2020 may have changed some things in terms of who works from home, how we work from home, and how we utilize offices. In terms of education, we touched on it. I think we're definitely seeing some growing pains. Luckily, my little boy is only 1, so I kind of dodged a bullet with having to homeschool him. He's too young, but, I feel for the parents. The pace of change that's been required for our kids and teachers in local schools, I think it's going to pay off long term. Again, we might see virtual and kind of hybrid learning options, but at AT&T, we're partnering with school districts to ensure that students have devices, skills, and connectivity that they need to learn from home. Although, again, I know it's been a fast pivot and parents were kind of thrown into it, having to school their kids and probably weren't ready for that. So that's a little bit what we're focused on.
So Michelle, have you seen a silver lining from this kind of new way of approaching things?
Yes. I think at the city, and again, this is just my opinion, but one of the silver linings has been increased community engagement. As a result of the pandemic, we had to offer virtual community meetings. And, and much like today, you know, on this virtual platform, members of the public are able to participate from just about any location. And certainly that wasn't an option before the pandemic. And I'm certainly committed to making sure that that is even a continued option, even once, you know, we're somewhat back to normal as well. You know, like you mentioned, Ursula, hybrid, you know, having folks in person, maybe at City Hall, as well as having that virtual option as well. Because again, it's all about options, right? You know, we've had people be able to communicate and participate in meetings where, you know, typically, you know, maybe they're homebound, or maybe they, you know, have small children who, you know, they need to tend to in the evenings and couldn't make it to City Hall for a particular meeting, but now they are connected and engaged in the process. So I think that is definitely a silver lining in all of this, you know. And certainly also the other thing is my vision of a virtual City Hall, right? You know, we've talked about that for years, but haven't really pushed the envelope to the point where, you know, we've really delivered it. And certainly with the pandemic, Culver City actually being closed, we had to still provide service. You know, we couldn't stop providing those much needed required services. And so we had to, in many ways, reimagine and reinvent how some of those services were delivered to make sure that they were delivered safely in an online and virtual manner without interrupting service. So I think those are probably the two silver linings, and even the benefits that will continue even far beyond the pandemic.
So maybe when we roll this out and we got it like a plain cheese pizza, but maybe, you know, as we look forward, you know, we might have a little more variety. Some people like vegetarian, some people like their pepperoni. What do you see sort of the future sort of potential, all things possible, and ways to improve this connectivity, even if we do a hybrid? I'll turn to Ursula first.
So in today's work from home world, I think we all agree that technology is enabling businesses to navigate this environment and giving them the agility and the flexibility that's needed. Businesses and the city, as Michelle just mentioned. So fortunately, mobile carriers, internet platforms, and basically everything online, they're finding ways to keep us socially connected while, of course, physically apart, unfortunately. You know, helping local businesses connect to customers. And so AT&T has provided customers with flexibility during 2020, during these unprecedented times, including, you know, a couple of things we offer: unlimited wireless and wired home broadband. So, you know, many of the other competing mobile carriers have raised some of their data cap limits, and we like to pride ourselves that we haven't. And so, you know, for next year, what I see happening is I think mobile carriers are going to continue to prioritize access to their education and healthcare customers. The mobile carriers are going to be asked to increase mobile network capacity. I know that is for sure. We're already at, like I said, we're up 20%, you know, in data consumption just from this year. And I think we're going to have to provide access to collaboration and productivity tools, you know, as well as maybe security software. I think those are some of the things we can think about in 2021. AT&T, for example, we're in the process of deploying our 5G technology. And so our 5G technology is going to revolutionize fixed and also mobile services. And the idea for 5G is that it's ultra low latency, faster speeds, and most importantly, the ability to support a massive number of connected devices. Because think about the average home. You have mom and dad maybe we're both working from home, and they're both on Zoom calls, for example, video Zoom calls. Then maybe there's one or multiple kids. The kids are on Netflix. The kids are playing games, FaceTiming, you know, their friends, grandparents at any given moment. And any of us can testify this from a household. You could have 2, 3, 4, 5 different devices connected to a mobile network. So that's only going to continue to increase. just closing real quickly, I think our mobile phones also have really played an important role this year with keeping us informed about COVID-19. I know I get those county alerts on my phone. Those are helpful. There's different apps about tracing, notification, that type of thing. So I think we'll see that even as the vaccine gets rolled out in a more widespread fashion. So I think our phones have been helpful to stay in the loop and to stay vigilant. Thank you.
I just want to follow up. Do you see any need or potential for pricing due to all the changing data demands that AT&T might be rolling out, or for consideration for maybe the disadvantaged?
Our focus this year has been some special offers specifically on distance learning. We also have some offers for healthcare workers, first responders. Happy to, help connect anyone here on this call with those offers. So that's been our focus. I think that's going to continue to evolve. I know our offers change, week by week. Our latest, again, like I said, is focused on students and really trying to keep kids and teachers connected to each other. So
that's great. So Michelle, what do you see changing next year for Culver City, or any innovation that might occur in the near term?
Yeah, so I think, certainly for me, my role will be about what I call digital transformation. And, in a nutshell, digital transformation to me is just using digital technology, and adopting that towards transforming your business or service delivery. And so, this has given us an opportunity to really, as I stated earlier, just push the envelope, in terms of, virtual online services, City Hall being open 24/7, right? In the middle of the night, if you need to get a permit for something, you should be able to start that, from the comforts of your home online. And so that's our challenge, is to make sure that we deliver that. And it's interesting because, I look at municipalities and the role of government, and, you can look back and see how there are forces or factors that drive us towards change, right? It might be legal regulations or environmental issues. I think, certainly COVID-19 is truly a driving force for government in general, not just at the local level, but in general, to really take the opportunity to transform how we deliver services, and to, more importantly, make it more effective and more accessible to the community.
So if you're on this is just my question. So if you're on back-to-back Zoom or Teams calls, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then you're socially trying to connect, how can we make this more of a viable, more engaging process? Like, what's the magic wand here to do that?
That's an interesting question. Because, I never would have thought that Zoom birthday parties would be a real thing, right? But if you think about it, the silver lining in all of that is we've been able to connect with friends, family, associates, not just, in different locations in a different state, but even nationally, globally, around the world. And, when you typically have a gathering, you look for those, few friends who are local to your community to show up. Well, now with technology, being connected, having this technology, we're able to connect and stay in touch with, friends and associates that are not in our local immediate community. And so I think that's great. And I think that's going to definitely continue.
I agree. Ursula, what do you think? How you gonna keep me how do you keep me on the line?
I kind of second what Michelle said. I think the inclusiveness has been beautiful, because I had a girlfriend, she's pregnant now, she's expecting, she had a baby shower. She's able to include her grandparents who are on the East Coast and family spread out, across the entire country. Whereas normally, again, you wouldn't expect them to fly out to California necessarily for that. But the fact that they got to be part of that was wonderful. And I think that the inclusiveness has been great, and really it means that there's no barriers. So, if the barrier is me getting childcare for my young child, doing it virtually is a lot easier. And so I think all the barriers and limitations are slowly, as long as you're comfortable and familiar with technology, I think it's becoming a lot more inclusive.
Yeah, I agree in the inclusivity. I think what we're probably going to see is different ways to deliver content. So, right now we're having a conversation. It's very nice, but we're probably going to develop into some more visual tools, some more, maybe less PowerPoints or just, start to embrace these platforms and they get more sophisticated. I think we'll just see some formatting change to keep people engaged, so it doesn't seem like they're not going from a meeting to a social gathering. So I look forward to some sort of the more creative types amongst us to like we just had a magician perform on one of ours, and it was really fun. Like the kids loved it. So I don't know if I'm off topic, but I just thought
that's fun.
One of the things I wanted to ask, in terms of emergencies and resiliency, to stay connected, I mentioned, Edison is, working on battery storage and, all this other type of preparation. Maybe Ursula, you could, if you have that, to talk a little bit about, how the telecommunication is, building in, either battery backup or other things for earthquakes or any type of emergency for everyone to stay connected.
So, Diane, it's actually perfect that you and I are on the same panel together, because the vast majority of AT&T's network is powered by commercial power. And so when we are in Edison territory, nearly all of our small cells, our cell sites, we do rely on SCE power. And so I think AT&T and SCE have a wonderful partnership. And so I know our relationship continues to evolve, between the two corporations. And then at a larger level, AT&T is really focused on, where possible, adding generators to some of our larger macro cell sites, which comprise the backbone of AT&T's wireless network, so that if in the event commercial power does go down, the generator can kick in. And so we've been working hard with some state legislation related to that, and then of course on the ground just trying to fortify each of the cell sites to make sure that we have backup. And then of course we work nearly every single day, Michelle, with the city, obtaining the required permits and doing everything we need to do to keep the network alive here in Culver City. So it's nice being on a panel with both of you, because our professional lives are also very intertwined. And I think the entire tech community, everyone is a little bit interrelated, interconnected, somewhat interdependent. So.
Perfect. Michelle, do you have any, I know you're doing the fiber, anything in terms of emergency planning for that backup?
Yeah, so we're always looking at ways that we can, introduce redundancy and resiliency in our network. And certainly, we depend on providers like AT&T as well to make sure that that's happening. So, we're just going to continue on that path. And I think certainly as we look to further develop even our municipal fiber network, the city's utilizing that as well. So that, along with the commercial options, definitely provides us with redundancy and resiliency.
Great. We have a few members in the audience. Do we have any questions you want to post in the chat? I see David posted, I'm excited about Ting bringing fiber to residents. That's a huge positive ad alongside the Culver Connect for Business. Thanks, David. Do we have any questions? We have Michelle, David, Ken, any type in the chat here. We're controlling the audio, so. But if anyone has any questions, I don't see any right now, but I'll keep looking. So Michelle and Ursula, any emerging trends on tech that we should be on the lookout for soon? Ursula, anything you see we should be on the lookout for that they haven't mentioned?
So I'll run through a few just that AT&T and myself have observed. So supply chain. Global supply chains have been vastly disrupted this year, and they remain under pressure throughout this year. I know that even from personally, if you order something, usually this year has been taking a really long time to get delivered. I think we're feeling that across all sectors. So, and even within AT&T, there is a need to improve and streamline supply chain technology. So that's one area I think we're going to see a lot more movement in next year. As far as retail, we've touched on this a little bit. Customers are going from purchasing in retail stores to shopping online. We're all doing it. You know, a study from McKinsey and Company showed a 30% growth in online purchases. Honestly, I bet that's higher. Even within my household, I bet that's a little bit higher. Another thing next year, sustainability. Companies are, as they should be, are working to ensure they do their part to protect the environment. So this year, actually, AT&T committed to being carbon neutral by 2035. So that's something we're really proud of, and something that I think we're hoping that more industries and more companies also make that same commitment. One fun thing, this is kind of a fun announcement. You may have already seen it already, but in the entertainment world, movies going to video on demand the same day as the theatrical release. I think we're going to see that a lot in 2021. And AT&T specifically, our entertainment part of the house, Warner Brothers, they recently announced that movies in 2021 will go to HBO Max the same day that they were set for theatrical release. So it's giving me even more excuse to, you know, be a couch potato, sit on the couch, relax. But honestly, sometimes we need a little escape after, especially this year, after a long day, you know, Zoom calls, etc. And so Diane, you touched on content. And so you know, that's one of the things Warner Brothers and AT&T are really excited for, that we're going to have a lot of premium content, and it's all going to be on HBO Max. And so you know, you can just kind of veg and relax at night. So sounds really nice. Probably last thing I'd touch on is workforce strategies. We're seeing companies are finding new ways to use data and technology, and new ways to motivate their employees and kind of drive workforce collaboration, because again, this isn't going away anytime soon. So I see companies trying to optimize and pivot and kind of adapt to keep productivity up.
Great. I'm going to pivot. There's one question here from David. Technology can often be confusing to end users, your customers. How can a user best reach support for your services? If that was directed to AT&T or Michelle, but Michelle, is there something in the city you had mentioned Culver Connect, but is that what they should reach out to?
Yeah, so if you have any questions, certainly about the Culver Connect offerings in terms of our partnerships, particularly with INYO, or as I mentioned, the upcoming offering with Ting as well. Certainly you can reach out to via email to Culver Connect, which is culverconnect@culvercity.org. And really to also even touch on Dave's question a bit more, I think you're absolutely right. We put technology in the hands of our community across the board, right? You know, it's everyone mentioned, grandma is now attending the Zoom family birthday parties, right? And so really, I think our commitment on the side is really to ensure accessibility. We want to ensure that everyone is connected. We don't want to have an issue where there's a divide. And so, we're committed to accessibility and, in terms of that end user support, doing our best to just reach and touch in a virtual way, the end user. I think making that connection, making them understand, helping them understand that technology really can be difficult, can be confusing, but you can accomplish it. You can succeed. And so just making that connection, I think, is important.
Thanks, Michelle. I think we're supposed to go to the main stage, but Ursula, you'll get the last comment. How can customers learn more?
I'll just echo what Michelle said. We want technology to be inclusive, and it should be inclusive. And Dave, if there's anything AT&T related from our content that I mentioned, HBO, Warner Brothers, all the way to wired services, internet, broadband, wireless, I am more than happy to help. We try to stay active in the Culver City community as well as the chamber. So today has been a privilege. Diane and Michelle, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you as well. Thank you, Ursula. Thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Ursula. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And we'll now go to the main stage. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.